Great introduction by Mr. Settlemore, just as we go on the air. 1, 2, 5, my shoe. Buckle them up, boys. It's time for a roo. It's Hambletonian Day from the Meadowlands Racetrack in East Rutherford, New Jersey. Not Meadowlands Racetrack in Delaware, Nebraska, and Juneau, Alaska. There's no other Meadowlands Racetrack. There's one Meadowlands Racetrack, and we're here right now, live, on site, and other forms of physical presence. I'm sweaty, he's Rod Allums, he's Mike Prebosi. It's a warm day here. It's typically a warm day, though. It's the first Saturday in August.
Right.
It's kind of the moniker that this race has adopted, not only because it's the biggest 3-year-old contest in all of harness racing, but also we really like trying to echo our friends in thoroughbred racing. Just everything that they do right, we try to just borrow from them and hope it works out for us. But
it does when we're here.
It's not a bad marketing strategy. It's not a bad marketing strategy. What do they say? If it's broke, someone go fix it. But why fix it if it's not broke? That's what I'm pretty sure what they say. So, the other real great thing about Hambletonian Day, a lot of races. Lots of stakes races, and then a couple of other races that you go, why are they here? But they're here anyway. We got two condition races to start. Two condition races to start things off. Then we start.
One's a 4-year-old open.
Yeah, so it's kind of like the horses that tried, the little horses that could kind of story coming into this race.
Yeah.
Horses that didn't want to go in against the free-for-all pacers and the Willie Houghton, or I'm pretty sure that it's the only free-for-all race there is. What is happening with that camera? Uh-oh. I taped it on there. Oh, wait, I taped it on there.
Yeah, we got to point it back toward...
Well, to be fair, it's not our fault. People are really they're really enjoying the New Jersey pastime of day drinking today. So someone probably just walked over and stumbled. I think we're good. Yeah, because if you come
No, turn it towards me a little bit.
I didn't want you in the shot anyway. You can get in the shot, I guess. But now Mike's not going to be in the shot. Okay. Okay. Come on, pop a squat. Pop a squat.
Anyways, we got a ton of races today. 16.
Hi! I didn't see them there. Did you know that they were there too?
Yeah.
16 races. But we kind of like wean on to the stakes races because race 3 is the Vincennes Invitational Trot. Those are free-for-all trotters, but free-for-all trotters that didn't really want to try their hands in the John Cashman Memorial. If you want, you can just switch over every time we cut to this.
That's the perfect spot for Garnett when he shows up.
So as I was saying, we got the Vincennes. It's the first pseudo stakes race on the card. Then we get into the 2-year-old races, the Jim Doherty Memorial, the Peter Houghton. And right off the bat, we're already at eliminations for the Hambletonian because this is the last year of the 2-heat format, which I think is unfortunate. I would have put together a eulogy, but I was too busy conducting interviews before the show.
Yes.
That we'll have prepared
that I made
for you
him do
later on. You didn't. I obliged. You didn't make me do them. We did them together.
Yes.
It was bonding.
I didn't feel like bonding.
I can make it feel like bonding.
We've bonded over the years already. Like we're beyond that, don't you think?
I don't think we've bonded enough.
No.
Can somebody buy me some bonds?
Can you not be in the middle of us, please, Rod? I feel like.
Yeah, this is very strange.
Well,
I run this show now.
Setup.
It's more. I'm trying to cross the border, and you're just not letting me. But I need this. It's about like what 86 degrees here.
Yeah, but we have a tent.
Yeah, but it feels like what 84. Those 2 degrees do make a difference, especially if you're in Greenland. We have the first race coming up in approximately 25 minutes, but of course, we didn't get done because there's the Hambletonian eliminations. It's the final year of the 2-heat format, which first things first, I'm curious if you guys enjoy the 2-heat format. I think, well, I've always felt that 2 heats makes the race much more interesting than just elimination final, since there's just so many races that are already elimination final that it kind of loses that character almost, that makes it more special, kind of like how the futurity is.
Well, you know, I personally like the 2-heat racing. I know for the horse's welfare, it's easier to not do 2 heats, but at the same time, it's very good. It's very good to have everything kind of together in one day, as opposed to doing it in 2 separate weeks.
Well, I also every year I go down. Well, now every year I go down to the Shenandoah County Fair down in Woodstock, Virginia, and I see those guys going 2 heats for $1,500. So I wonder, how come we can't go 2 heats for $1 million all the time, or not all the time, but just like. I understand the logistical concern because it's difficult to get the past performance pages out to people with the charted lines and the eliminations. Well, I feel like some people are looking at the handle of the Hambletonian in the tweet format, and there may be a dip. I haven't looked at the numbers, but I'm assuming other people have looked at the numbers and they know more than me for some reason. I can understand that maybe handle might go down because some people really like the charts, but also if you watch the eliminations, you know the horse you like going into the final.
As far as the handicapping aspect, you got to change a little bit because you got to find that horse that's got that stamina to go 150 and change or 151 twice in the same day, within an hour and a half. So that's a big key, I think. But you also got to remember, these are the best 3-year-old trotters on the planet. So for them to go out there and just race like crap twice, it's likely not going to happen. When you go to 1 heat 2 weeks in a row, it changes the whole aspect, because then that question of stamina doesn't come into play nearly as much because you're only going 1 race within the entire night.
Mm-hmm. But I still feel like 2 heats, maybe it takes more out of the breed we have today because it's much more speed derived than it is stamina or grit or any of those more kind of long staying characteristics of horses from like the 70s and the 80s. I don't know why we're talking about.
I don't either. I feel like that we beat this one to death.
Nowadays, the horses' hinds just curve more upwards, and I think that's where the sport started going downhill. Anyway. We started breeding for bigger butts. But let's start talking about these eliminations. There's 2 eliminations. 16 horses dropped in to the. Am I looking over here? We're over here.
We're over here.
Yeah. 16 horses dropped into. I don't want to look at these people anymore. I want to look at them again. Come on.
Where are you going?
I want them again.
Okay.
Get them back up here.
We need that.
There we go.
That camera.
What camera? That camera?
No, that camera needs to be adjusted a little bit. Oh wait, yeah. Wait, Mike, you can just move my way.
Wait, no, Mike. You want to get some footage of the horse eating grass?
Yeah, we're not doing that.
Why not?
We don't need to.
That's curved too much. More this way. More this way. More this way. More this way. Oh, no. There.
As we adjust on the fly, you have to do these types of things when running a live show.
I was gonna. Well, first, you already put sunscreen on. You're under a tent.
No, that's not me.
Someone's spraying sunscreen, but then again, other people are in the sun. I bet you by like the 5th race, people are going to start crowding under here for shelter because it's going to get dangerous. You're going to have to send a fire marshal after people.
Remember, we've got Hambo limbs.
Let's go.
Yes.
To talk about.
Well, you were just taking so long. You were looking in your bag. You were wondering if you brought any of your vanity items. Maybe you had a little gift for Jason Sellamore as he's walking around.
Well, it's a little hard to see your screen. I can't.
Well, then how about I do it? You talk about the 16 horses that dropped in.
All right, so we got 16 horses for the Hambletonian today. Eliminations are races number 8 and 9. We're going to start with race number 8. And here you can see Cantab Fashion has the rail.
There's no rail.
Summit in sight.
It's a pylon.
Well, he's got the pylon. He's got post number 1.
Yeah.
Swandre the Giant, who I like quite a bit today, even though he's back off Lasix.
So tell us why.
Yeah.
Well, he's been very sharp.
On Lasix.
Yeah, but I told you guys that I liked this horse back at Pocono in the Beal. And that was, a month and a half ago, 5 weeks ago.
Already?
I thought he was great here, though, when he got the Lasix.
He's a big horse.
They also pulled the shoes on him.
The big horses like the bigger tracks. So a horse like Swandre the Giant, I think you're going to see his best races here at the Meadowlands as opposed to a smaller track like Pocono because of the size of it. So I like him. I think he's got a big shot in there. But I think the obvious favorite is going to be Gimpanzee with the way he's been racing.
But he has three
Still
races
undefeated.
this year. 3 races. I mean, that's not very many.
No, but he's still undefeated.
Against inferior foes, too. I mean, this is...
For someone who is so high on pilot discretion because he was undefeated, it seems like this is kind of this is interesting to hear now that you aren't crediting this horse for being undefeated.
No, I mean, I don't mind that, but I mean, there's... At least this year that he's stepped up into pilot discretion, has stepped up into the bigger races and faced some of the better horses and has been a little bit more battle tested. This horse, you know, has made a fair amount of money in easy spots, and you can't blame the ownership for that. And, you know, similar to Atlanta last year, where she was sort of taken care of until the big race came, and then she was ready to go. But now, you know, this year, this horse, 3 races, that's not very many, you know, in August, I don't think. I mean, this is the toughest spot this horse has seen for quite a long time.
Well, Marcus was also talking about earlier in the week that this has been what they've been training Chimpanzee specifically for this race.
Okay.
So maybe 3 races is enough for him. I didn't talk to the horse. I didn't ask how he felt. I see a guy with massive sweat stains on his back, and I feel so seen right now. I feel so validated knowing I'm not the only one drenched under here, but that's how we stay cool.
It is warm.
It's only going to get warmer, which would probably help the favorite in the second elimination. That would be the 5 Green Shoe. Everyone thinks that this horse is going to not only trot a world record, but in fact may just leave this universe as we know it. He might break the speed of sound and just enter into a world that only Stephen Hawking would understand.
No, Green Shoe, he's been absolutely incredible this season. 4 for 5. His only loss was in the field. He came back after missing 3 weeks in the Stanley Dancer. It was 2 weeks. Came back in the Stanley Dancer and absolutely crushed him 150 and 1. And he is just a speed freak. He's very, very talented. A ton of natural ability, and I mean, there's not a lot more to say about him. He's just a freak of nature.
Well, there's another freak of nature in this race right next to him. Don't let him. You remember last year? I have to apologize in my write-up. I thought it was a world record. He set a track record here last year in the Peter Houghton Memorial when he won in 151 and 4. But the thing about this horse, and you'll probably see it today, he likes to put his head down. He's sort of funkily gaited, but he also just is able to shuffle himself faster than any horse I've ever seen, at least in this division. Void Green Shoe. And you look at his last race too. He's coming off a 50 and 2 mile. Sure, he was sitting off of a quick pace early. Came into it late when they were tiring. That could have helped him go that fast. But it's not like this horse didn't have that speed in the first place.
Yeah, the speed's always been there for that horse. You know, a lot of his miscues have been self-imposed. You know, he wasn't doing anything wrong. He just kind of lost his footing. But he's got that real quick turn of foot, like you mentioned. And the thing with him, he's got to be able to control that turn of foot. So 2 back when he made a break at the top of the stretch here. That break, he was sitting in the 2-hole when he broke, and he was absolutely running the horse over in front of him, but he just lost his footing, and it wasn't like he jerked him out or tried to swing to an open lane anywhere. That wasn't the case at all. He just happened to lose his footing, and that happened. So we do have the national anthem right now that we have to get up for.
Yes.
So we will come right back.
I want to put it on the regular, the feed.
Wait, this is in our country?
Yeah.
So put the feed up.
quote the man standing right next to us, that was money.
Bang bang.
It's a hard song to sing, and I was worried for her because she started already in a high key, and it's almost like a race where if you're wide around the first turn, that's like starting in a high key, and you're going, oh, how am I gonna finish this?
Yeah.
But she found a way. You always find a way if you can sing.
All right.
But
Let's get back to the
let's get
main
racing.
race.
Well, we basically touched on the couple of Hambletonian eliminations. We could either, the Hambletonian Oaks really is possession, but we can get more into that as that race gets closer, because we'll have a lot of time between races by then, because Dave Brower and Gary Seibel will be giving the backstories to everyone over on CBS Sports, which, if you watch them, please don't leave us.
We will actually be able to show that live feed.
Oh, really?
We have permission from the Hambletonian Society to show the live CBS broadcast.
Then we will have to go to break when that time comes, so we can get it loaded
So
in.
we can set that up.
Because I feel like a broken record at this point, reminding everyone that we are an enterprise of 3 people, and if you walk into the control room here at the Meadowlands, they at least have 10 doing the whole production. And if anyone was around here this morning, I did a lot of work. Rod loaded up the little beeper thing. It was a real team effort, Mike. You looked good.
I was doing work too. Just because you guys don't let me do this AV stuff doesn't mean I'm not doing other stuff. You know, I have my fair share of work in this operation, believe me.
Well, we actually have a bet in the first race that's very interesting.
Yeah, because you went to go run and bet it. That's why we were a minute late to starting the stream.
That's all right.
I know, but I feel like the people would like to know how dedicated we are to our
That's the thing
numbers.
about this show, that we actually do bet our tickets. We do, anything we're giving out, we're punching, we're playing, we're betting. That's what this show's about mostly, because that's what the whole idea of racing is that people want to gamble a little bit. So
Yeah, and it's like, how many times too have we been doing the show and I just say, I'll be back, I'm going to bet this horse, and I
That's what
run
we're here
away.
for, right?
Yeah.
So
But you guys went and bet the Survivor pick 6, which is typically the Survivor pick 10, but there's a pick 5 in between. I imagine they didn't want to overlap too much between the 2 sequences.
I think that they made it a pick 6 to try to make it more, get a bigger handle. It's tough to punch pick 10 tickets. It really is, because you end up very light on the end of them.
But that's also why it's a Survivor.
I understand that, but I just feel like that this is maybe a slightly more accessible bet, especially for this
the
card.
other thing about the bet is it's very tough. It's a very good sequence.
Yeah.
If you can get some of the favorites out of it, it's going to be very, very good, and it's going to pay very well, because I think the bet itself is just overall a tough sequence to put together on one ticket.
Yeah, and it's not a jackpot bet, so a lot of these pick 6s and things are jackpots. You have to have one ticket, things like that. For this, you get 6 winners, you're going to get paid. It's not a single ticket thing.
But we were discussing before you guys went to go bet. I thought you guys made a pretty risky investment. You guys put a decent amount of money in on this pick 6, but we can take a look at this first race here. 4-year-old open pace, Backstreet Shadow. You see the morning line favorite at 2-1, but on the board right now, he's 1-5, and that brings me to my point that you guys put down a lot of money on a sequence with a ton of venerable favorites, a ton of favorites that are worth respecting. But if you can beat them,
1-5 in this race, really?
Yeah.
I mean, right now he's 1-5.
Well, I was gonna say, but at the same time, I understand if you can beat them, then that puts you in a much better position.
Well, absolutely.
Because they are that strong of favorites.
Yeah, I mean, it's any multi-leg. I don't think, though, a lot of people are going to be playing this ticket with a bunch of singles in it necessarily. I feel like other people are going to be spreading out a little bit, too, especially with a 20-cent minimum. So that affords you more options. You know, some people don't like those low minimums.
And
I don't mind them necessarily.
Everything has mandatory payouts today.
That's right. It's closing day here.
You've got the pick 6, the pick 5, 2 pick 4s, and 2 jackpot high 5s. One of the high 5s, humongous carryover. I think that is the
Hambletonian Oaks, $53,000 carryover in that high 5.
Mandatory
and it's
payout.
a mandatory payout, so they're paying out all of that money today.
But Rod, when we look at this race, the opening leg of the Survivor Pick 6, I know Mike doesn't think Backstreet Shadow should be 1 to 5, but you look at the rest of the horses in this field. I could understand Backstreet Shadow potentially not winning, but I still feel like the odds are on his side just off those last 2 miles.
Yeah, I mean, the horse is obviously fast enough. He's in very, very good form right now. And it's hard not to have him on your ticket, but, you know, the price is just way too short for me right now. 1 to 5, I would be completely off of him at that price. I'm actually using more than half the field here. I'm going 5 deep with the scratch of the 10 Lion Steel. So it's only a field of 9 now, but, you know, my ticket, and to start, I like one of the Survivor Pick 6, 5 deep, the 1 Trump Nation. This horse can close as well as anything on the planet, and he's extremely sharp. He just has to have the right setup to be able to pass horses, because a lot of times these horses come home in 26 anyways. So if he gets the right setup, he's got a shot and he's got an inside post. The 2 Backstreet Shadow, like I said, he's a must play in this spot. The 3 Alberto Hanover for the Bongiornos. He's a speed horse, and he's been showing speed over at Yonkers recently, but he loves the big track, and he's had a lot of outside posts over at Yonkers, so that could be a key factor here with coming back to the big track. I think he's got a shot, and he's going to be a nice price as well. The 5 Hayden Hanover for Andy and Julie Miller.
Who don't you have in this race?
Well, I don't have the 4. I skipped
Oh,
over
okay.
4. Hayden Hanover went first over last week and just got snapped at the wire, but he's got a big shot as well. And then the 7 Courtly Choice, we all know about him. Little Brown Jug winner. He's second time on Lasix, so I think you got to include him. You guys know me. Second time Lasix, that's always a huge angle.
I know, but hey, Mike, I don't know if you can agree with this. I have to see Courtly Choice on the track, because the last couple of starts, he's just something's looked off with him. I know I talked to Jay Bergman about it. He thinks the horse potentially had lameness issues. That's pure speculation, because I never talked to Blake McIntosh. I can assume though something was wrong, and you can agree since they took time off, they tried to qualify him, and maybe he's coming back into form in this race.
Well, he certainly likes this track. He won here last year, Hambo Day, right? You know, I think the Lasix can't do anything but help him. You know, he's got more class than anything in the race. He's used to facing those top-level horses every week. Yeah, okay, so he was off form a little bit. They gave him time. We're making a medication switch. You know, he has a perfect post to stalk and make his usual late move. I think he's a must-use in the race. I mean, you have to use him here.
Even if he's the second choice at 6 to 1.
Yeah, I mean, I'm okay with that, because he expects to be that. I do think others have upset possibilities in here, especially since, you know, Backstreet Shadow has been facing straight 4-year-olds. You know, I mean, all these are 4-year-olds, but, you know, some of these have been facing older horses week in and week out. So, you know, it's a different class. I think some of the ones that are dropping back into the facing straight 4s, you know, have a little bit of an advantage. They're all fast. The trip's going to matter. 1 to 5 is way too short.
Well, and it definitely seems like, too, that there could be some sort of speed setup in this race, because Backstreet Shadow likely leaves. Alberto Hanover, Bongiorno's here. You know he's going to leave. You know Hayden Hanover's probably going to leave. And so it sets up for a horse potentially like Trump Nation, like Courtly Choice. And what about No Easy Day at 50 to 1? I understand this guy has raced mostly in non-winners at 20,000 when on the bigger tracks, but he's raced well there. The issue is he's just had too much ground to make up, but maybe if they can somehow go faster in this race, that brings this long shot into the race.
But how's he going to beat, you know, some of these other ones that are going to be rallying? I mean, can he get 3rd or 4th? Sure, that's a possibility.
Yeah, he's
but on the
definitely
win
an
end, I
exotic
think
one.
that's pretty difficult to ask for this one.
And it's interesting because how rarely at the Meadowlands do you have a superfecta in the first race, but they have it here because it does not start the 50 cent pick 5.
I think there's supers in every race today. Yeah.
Oh, really?
Pretty sure there is.
Oh, that's
Yes.
different. Even in the
Every race has a super effective today.
Yeah. So.
Yeah,
And they're all dime supers too, which some people don't like dime supers. You know.
I was gonna say on a big day like
Big
this.
fields, dime supers.
But
are
we
fine.
do have to move on to race number 2.
Yes, we do.
Yeah.
For the Survivor.
Well, yeah, for those that want to bet it, because race 2.
Over there, yes. Over there, yes.
Oh, also do note, if people saw it on the feed. If you're listening on the radio, or if you somehow missed it, Lion Steel is scratched from this first race.
Right.
He's the 10 horse. He's scratched. The second leg, Let's Roll coming in off a big mile in 148 and 4, losing to City Hall, but that was his first start outside of non-winners of X amount of races, that sort of condition. He comes into this race. He's against a horse like Heavenly Sound to the inside, who raced in the Graduate, Incredible Shark to the outside, who needs to learn how to pass a horse. But Mike, I feel like you're still on Incredible Shark.
I am
here.
because he's been in tough spots from tough posts with tough setups. I mean, he was completely against it. That last time, 2 back. Last time got ran into Filibuster Hanover, who wasn't losing that race on the front end. This horse raced very well there. He has a class edge. He gets a setup now. He has a little bit of an outside post. Should end up in the flow and come. They're going to have to hold him off.
And
I
Rod,
do like him in the race.
I could definitely understand spreading in this race, since Let's Roll is not necessarily a lock. He still lost last out, yet he does have room to improve, which is probably why he might be a stronger favorite in this race than you might think on paper. But you have a horse like Heavenly Sound that has a chance to win. Quality Bud has an upset chance, even though this is a class that's typically too tough for him. Maybe On Duty bounces back. He got his trip last time, but seemed flat off cover. You can go a multitude of ways in this race.
Yeah, you really can. It's a tough race. Another one that's just wide open early on in the card. And this is one of the overnight races here today. But, I do think this is a race, if you're not spread out, you're going to get beat. Because I think the winner of this race is the one that ends up second over. And I'm not real sure who that's going to be. So I'm hoping that whoever ends up second over is going to be the winner, because I think it's going to be the big price in the race, Heavenly Sound.
Big price. He's 7-2 morning line.
Oh, this thing's going to be 20-1.
No.
Not in the
won't be
pick
20 to
6. Rod,
No
look,
chance.
In the pick 6.
7.
20 to 1? The horse was 3 to 1 last time. The horse was 20,000.
At Yonkers.
Well, yeah, but that. I don't know. There's
From
no way
an
the horse
inside
20 won
post.
the race. Maybe 10, but not 20.
I don't get how a horse at 7-2 on the morning line could not be used in a multi-race. People
Right.
look at that.
People do use.
People do look at that.
Everything in this race is going to be. It doesn't matter who wins, I don't think, in this race, because
Yeah, you're going to need coverage. I agree with you.
yeah, you have to be covered in this race, and if something beats you, it beats you. It's a very tough race, but I'm 5 deep there. 1, 3, 4, 5, and 8. That's enough of that race.
The next leg is the Vincennes Trot $60,000 purse. I feel like Rich and Miserable's a single here. I'm pretty sure you guys singled him in the pick 6, but also too, I could see a horse maybe like Lindy the Great off of that last mile, because he was 3rd behind Manchego, Marion Marauder. Those two much better than this whole field. True. Although Rich and Miserable did race well against Hannelore Hanover a couple starts back when finishing 2nd, so it's not like he does not fit this level either. And he's also coming in off of 2 wins. He has 9 wins in 12 starts this year.
That horse is sort of the now horse right now. I
Yeah.
think has gotten better than at a very much higher rate than the rest of these, and just can control the race. That's the thing. Can get the front, and they have to chase him to be able to win the race. And there's a lot of good horses in the race. I mean, you got Homicide Hunter that's made 1.7 million, Pinkman 2.8 million. There's legitimate horses in the race, but this horse doesn't need a trip to win. Has a perfect post. Essentially, no excuses whatsoever. It's supposed to win this race.
And you may see that there is a New Zealand-bred trotter in this race, the 8, Speeding Spur. Rarely do you see New Zealand-bred trotter, but Rod, this horse was originally eligible for the Cashman, but you think that even if he's in this spot, he's worth using.
Yeah, I think he's a play. It is a tough spot. He's got the 8-hole in a 12-horse field, and it's only a mile trot. So how far back is he going to be at the quarter pole? That's going to be a big key, I think. He doesn't look like he's got a ton of gate speed, so I think he's going to end up parked the whole mile and looking just to follow some cover. He's got to get brought into the race, and he needs some quick fractions, I think. But tough race.
I feel like, any sort of spreading. We did talk about the second race as a spread race. The Jim Doherty Memorial might also be a decent spread race, even though Hypnotic AM could just walk over this field at 1-5. I see that as a possibility, but also too with these 2-year-olds. Some of them may not show breaks on their line, but this is the first time you're going to see some of these horses that tend to be racing within the top 4 have to be sitting farther back. They may get anxious doing that, and you're going to maybe see some sort of chaos that could set up for maybe a bit of a more interesting horse. So what my question here is, outside of Hypnotic AM, who are you using in the pick 6?
We're using a bunch in the race. I think that, that was a little too close for comfort last time. You got a horse that's 1-9, just getting up to win by a nose. Didn't exactly,
We've seen that Sears drive before, though.
I mean, I understand that, and now the big money's on the line, but, like you said, it's 2-year-old trotters, okay? So you're going to take a very short price on 2-year-old trotters. You need to find a price in here, especially, with us using some favorites in other legs. I think the interesting horse is the 9, Hello Tomorrow. I mean, this is the horse that horse tracked down last time, and, really wasn't slowing down necessarily. So, is going to go early from that outside spot, should be in a much better spot, should get a better trip. It's just a matter of, is she good enough to win the race, having to overcome that outside spot. I think that the speed, helps her a lot to be able to get over early and, could give her a little bit of advantage over some of the closest, especially if the track plays towards speed, which it did early in the card last night.
Well, I was going to say, speed could help a horse like Crucial to the inside rod, who went to the front past the quarter and then kicked home in 26-4 under wraps to win her elimination.
Yeah, she started her career very sharp.
They are stepping onto the track, by the way, for this first. But we're talking about the Jim Doherty Memorial.
Yeah, she's very sharp right now. I think is a must play, especially from an inside post now. You've had post 7 in both of her lifetime starts, so the move inside is definitely going to help.
I'm looking at the post parade and I see Backstreet Shadow. He just looks so light on his feet. I hate that I'm so entranced with the 1-5 shot. It's pathetic.
This is not you at all.
It's not me. I got to get a bit more creative as the day goes on. Real Cool Sam in the Houghton is pretty simple. That's like 5. I don't know how you use anyone else outside of him, because that horse is just. He's the
Synergy's worth a play there.
Synergy's not winning. I'm sorry.
No?
I don't. Comparatively, Real Cool Sam would not only have to break stride, he would have to go out for lunch, forget to leave a tip, so then he goes back to the restaurant.
Give me a break.
And then forget where he put his keys. There would have to be so much that happens for that horse to lose, not only because of the pedigree, but because the horse is showing ability off of that pedigree. Because sometimes you see horses with pedigrees like that, and they don't necessarily materialize into great horses, but when they have that breeding and when they are racing well, sometimes those two work together and to make a really good horse.
Well, I mean, this horse is obviously very precocious, 4 for 4, has, the most starts in the field already, and it's just, has been very tough from outside posts, has had to overcome adversity. I mean, I agree with you that that's the kind of stuff you want to see in a young horse. Now the horse draws perfect, should get a better setup, it's obviously the one to beat, but, you have another horse in Synergy that has the top connections, that draws perfect, and, I think is the biggest threat to the favorite. Mm-hmm. And look who it is.
How many times I walked by? I needed an Uber to get back from there. Every time I walked by there, I thought it was all this stuff.
Well, the 6th race, I think there's 3 horses there. Warwi Ubu, obvious use there. Mm-hmm. I think she's probably going to be the favorite. People kind of know her.
The world favorite?
Yeah.
I don't.
She's the world record holder. People know her. She's one of those horses. Has a pretty massive fan base already. Stonebridge Soul, I think, definitely plays in that race. Tall Drink Hanover, look for a price on him. I wouldn't go with him if he's the favorite. Or her, sorry. And the 7 Treacherous Rain, 4 for 7 this year. The horse loves to win and is a little bit versatile, so that's what I'm going to go with there. Look at NAHUPicks.com for the Pick 6 tickets. We got just a couple minutes to post here for race number 1.
Hi, yes. As we see 1-5 currently on what's his face, Backstreet Shadow. I'm trying to do something so we can do something a little bit more nifty here, so I can bring in my next guest, or our next guest, I should say, a little blast from the past. There we go. We're getting somewhere now. We're getting somewhere now. Nope. I apologize. I know you're a busy man, Mr. Special Guest.
Here, let me give out the winning exactor in this race.
Yes,
2-6. Go get Schnitzel Doodle something for second. He comes off a no shot, no try effort from the 8 hole at Yonkers. I like him a lot to finish second here. To my best bet, Backstreet Shadow.
Well, if we go to the side cam, we could also see now that we have a nifty little race feed box right here for people who want to watch them scoring.
Look at that shirt.
We made it in your size too. It was special.
Did you have to get more extra material shipped over from the overseas for that?
No, I saved these just for you. I had them picked out of the box after the bet was over.
There you
put
go.
them in a shrine
I
where
just
I
want-
could deliver it on
I
Hambletonian
just
Day.
want to point out, for a guy that always complains about chalk, you picked every chalk to beat me in that contest. I just want to point
That's
that
true.
out.
That is kind of true.
I purposely did not because I didn't want it to carry over for weeks and weeks and weeks. I figured I'll go down with a couple second choices
so
if
what,
I have to.
what you did was you tanked. Is that what you're telling me?
Plus, I wanted a
on
free shirt.
purpose?
I'm no dummy.
You would have
I
had
like
it either
swag.
way.
Guys, I'm just gonna warn you. Once you wash that shirt, you may smell the blood from where it came from.
Wow.
You're really on Schnitzel. Do something though. He's up at 50 to 1. I liked No Easy Day at 80 to 1.
The other one I used for second was the 9, which somebody told me, and I don't know if you can believe stuff like this or not. The reason the horse broke last time, he never breaks, was because a skunk ran in front of him at a certain point of the race. That's what I heard. I don't know if it's true or not.
Early, apparently.
I tend not to believe most things I hear around the racetrack, but
Well, I can't see it in the charts, so I can't believe it. 'Cause
doesn't say there's no SK in there anymore.
Well, that would mean he stinks.
Good point. No, it means the skunk stinks.
And actually,
it
the
didn't
9
spray him.
was
Garnsdale, let me teach you something about poetry. But for people who don't remember, before a Mr. What's his face?
Before
Mikey
these guys
Big
took
Boss.
over and actually made the show something, I used to do some stuff on it.
Yeah, you were on for the longest time.
I think we used dial-up back then
I remember
and a rotary phone.
that was around the time my body started inventing its own testosterone.
Yes. No.
What do you mean? There's one in our hotel. I every time I walk by, I have to tell people to hold my calls. But you're also a busy guy. I passed Mike and Mike earlier. They were setting up for their broadcast that does not start until 3 p.m.
Yes, I think they're in the 2-hour plan or 3-hour plan, but that's okay because I'm also working for DRF doing a live feed today, so any break I get from not doing two things at once for several hours is okay.
I was gonna say it's good
Plus
that
you
people
write
pay
up
you.
every track in Canada every day.
Yeah, I
which
did
is- I don't
3
know
of
how you
those
have the
this
time for
morning.
that.
I had to go to Starbucks because the internet was no good at my hotel, but I found one that was like a mile away. Which
By
was
no
okay.
good, you mean it costs $9.99 a day.
No, I paid the $9.99 and it doesn't work on my laptop. It only works on the phone. It's probably a technical issue that I have no idea what it's about, but you know,
one of
I'm
those
sure it's probably easily fixed for somebody 25 years younger than me.
one of those state-sanctioned Canadian computers,
Well,
I
since he's here,
imagine.
let's
Yes.
talk about the big races.
Yeah. So,
What?
Cleve Garnsdale, I'm
By the way, there's a pretty big show pool here on the two.
on the 2, and
Wow.
there's a countdown clock. We have 15 seconds. You don't have to go immediately after this
No,
race,
I
do
don't.
you?
No, I don't.
Okay.
I'll stick around for a bit after the race. Go ahead.
All right, so we got 4 seconds to go until this race. Schnitzel do something to win here for you.
No, I bet it.
No, okay.
Only for second.
Only for second. Not confident enough.
So
from
you're
the
not
win.
any Courtly choice at all? You don't like at all?
I'm not on him at all. He's
Okay.
too inconsistent for me. I'd rather try and beat him for second than beat the 2 to win.
60,000 into pick 6. That's pretty good. I think that was a wise move.
That's
When
more
that-
than they've
That's
ever
all right.
handled.
When that's been averaging 10
I didn't
to
even
12,000.
know they had that, and they started talking about it, and I ran inside. I'm like, I got to play a ticket. So I ran inside and played a ticket for $14.40.
I'm just looking at the changes, scrolling down here. I think Burke pulled the shoes on all of his horses.
Really?
I think so.
Seriously?
Yeah,
Are you calling this race?
I am calling this race,
Okay.
but we're on a delay. Post time at 12. They're going at 12:10. This is the opener on Hambletonian Day. There you see the little starting car making its way towards the beginning of 16, 15 of which we'll cover. 4-year-old open pace in motion and approaching the start. Often pacing, Gingras fires with Wheels on Fire to the outside. Center comes Hayden Hanover with Backstreet Shadow towards the inside, wide of Trump Nation, now getting across to the first turn to sit third. Then Courtly Choice tucks into fourth as Trump Nation floats away fifth. Sixth comes Albergo Hanover to the opening quarter, followed by Mock and Cheese. They're then back to Schnitzel Do Something second to last, and No Easy Day trails about 12 lengths off the lead as Backstreet Shadow moves to circle past Wheels on Fire through a 26-4 opening quarter. The favorite now on top to the backside here in the Hambo Day opener to extend to a 2.5 length lead. Backstreet Shadow ahead of Wheels on Fire, now trying to tighten from second. Hayden Hanover stalks from third with Courtly Choice fourth, about 5 from the front. They're then back to Trump Nation still sitting fifth. Sixth then comes Albergo Hanover with Mock and Cheese sliding to his inside as they begin to move wide towards the half. Still back to Schnitzel Do Something second to last, and No Easy Day enters too wide to the back. He's fourth over through a 54-4 half. 28 seconds that second quarter to the far turn. Courtly Choice now advancing first over, up to be third now within 2 of the front, while Wheels on Fire's locked in the pocket. Backstreet Shadow meanwhile unchallenged to 3/4 with Trump Nation second up and with about 4 lengths to make up. With the inside, Hayden Hanover now racing in fourth, locked in, as is Mock and Cheese past 3/4 in 1:21-4 into the stretch on the Hambo Day opener. Backstreet Shadow widens his lead here. He's in front now by 3.5-4. The margin growing as Wheels on Fire gives pursuit. Inside, Mock and Cheese moves up to try and take second, while Hayden Hanover clings on for fourth late. Decisive winner here, though, Backstreet Shadow at 1-9, then Mock and Cheese, and Wheels on Fire in 1:47-3.
I'd say the track's a little fast.
Oh, it's very fast. But that horse was always capable of that kind of mile.
Well, Courtly Choice was awful.
As I
Really bad.
I have never.
You can't make up any ground. You can't come home at 25-4.
Well, yeah, but he was junk from the beginning. He pulled him and he went nowhere. He never took a step forward.
He took many backwards.
Yeah.
He did take many a step backwards.
The 9 was a good pick. It just wasn't quite good enough.
So it came 2-4-9-6, correct?
Yeah.
I had 2 with the 6-9 for the exact.
2-4.
I thought it was going to be 2-9 when they passed me. The 9
That
was the
super's
skunk
going to
horse.
make you a little ill, I would think.
Man.
1-9 over 50-1,
53.
over 26-1, over 42-1. Good super.
See, that was the play, was to try and beat Courtly Choice out totally, because he's way too inconsistent, and he just I don't know.
Well, I
And
don't.
you know what? You're going to figure he's going to be the guy that has to go first up, and that's exactly what's going to happen.
I missed him in the post parade. Did he look real lazy again?
I didn't see it.
Okay, because every time I've seen that horse, he's always like lagging back and forth. He seems real lazy, and I don't know if that's a soundness thing. I don't know if he's just
He's
always
like the
been
Ray
like
of
that.
horses.
I'm not lazy. Did you just? I was standing to call that race, and not only because it's better for my diaphragm. A man who knows a lot about diaphragms, Garnet Barnstone.
So you want to talk about the Hambletonian? Here's the thing for me.
Okay. Yes, just cut into the nitty gritty.
Well, I think most people
Hi, Rod.
believe that Green Shoe's much the best horse at this point, I think. Here's the thing for me. Last year on this day, on this track, in the heat, with a lot of people yelling and screaming, he ran like Seabiscuit for most of the race.
Yeah.
So I think it's important to take a look at this horse on the track when he comes out for his elimination. If he looks a little bit hot, maybe that's a chance to bet against him. So that's kind of what I'm going to be looking for.
But
if he's behaving perfectly, I probably won't try and bet against him in his elimination.
But it's easy, I feel, to mistake anxious hotness for hotness, because I see you're wearing your shorts. You're trying to
Yeah, it's
stay.
a rare occasion where I came out in shorts.
You're trying to stay have some sort of temperature maintenance in your
Yes.
body. How would you evaluate a horse being anxious and sweating as opposed to it just being hot? And
Well, I'm
sweating?
talking more about his mannerisms. Take
Okay.
a look at his gait. Take a look at his head. If he's tossing his head around, if he just looks kind of anxious, that might be an opportunity to bet against him. But other than that, I don't think I want to bet against him, at least as an elimination. In his elimination, in the final, maybe. If you see after you see the 2 eliminations, sometimes you make some adjustments. But I think that's what I'm going to be looking for. I'm going to be looking closely at him on the track when he comes out for his elim.
But this race is already kind of solidifying my worry that it might just be a chalk fest all day.
It's gonna be a speed fest, I'm pretty sure. That track's lightning fast. Like, it even looks hard. I came down and watched a few warming up when I couldn't find your tent, and they just seem to be kind of gliding over it. It looks springy, like really fast.
So, please tell me you have some sort of big price that won't finish fourth. That has a chance to potentially win here today.
I don't know that I do.
Oh my God!
Did I pick a price?
That's it. We're going home.
That's it. Pack it up.
We're done.
We were talking about earlier. You need a price.
Take mine.
The second race, I used 6 horses in this Survivor thing.
Yeah. So the second race we said earlier we thought was wide open, and
it looks like the last race last night, where what's his name won the last. I can't even remember the guy's name. He's such an unknown.
Toro.
Yeah. This looks almost like exactly the same kind of wide open race. I think you're absolutely right. I mean,
I think this is the best shot to get a price on the card, outside of like a big favorite making a miscue or something like that.
Yeah.
But as far as gambling wise, I think you're going to see a pretty even board here. Do you agree?
I think so. I mean, I don't even know who's going to be the chalk, really. I picked Quality Butt on top in this race. He's a 15-1 morning line choice. Hung the mile from the 8-hole last time around. If he gets out near the front, who knows? Might get a trip, right? I think you got to play something that you think's going to be near the front, either on the lead, in the pocket, or first up. I don't think they're going to come from behind much here today at all.
I sure wish you luck. I have my Reicatolo patent pending red backpack.
That's mine.
I'm one favorite. I'm done. I'm out of here.
Oh my God.
Catch my flight.
Yeah, that's me later.
Yeah. You don't have much luck with flights.
No, not to Newark.
Here anyway.
Not to Newark. It's awful. But again, this race, you said you like Quality Butt on top after being parked a mile last week.
Yeah, that's who I picked in the racing forms picks. But when I looked at it, I think you're absolutely right. I think it's the most wide open race of the day. I'm just hoping to get past it in this
I think
Survivor
Quality
thing.
Butt is a use here. I'm not a fan of the horse himself because he seems to get beat by anything, and those types of horses I usually tend to stay away from. But he's definitely a play. What do you think about a horse like? I want to see the odds. So I was going to say the 8 Incredible Shark, who's going to be the likely favorite, I think. Are you against a horse like that?
I don't know. I mean, like I said, I use 6 horses here. I'm just hoping to get past it. But I would be against him if he was around 2-1. I don't think he sticks out. But, based on his last race where he got bet and Tetrick left with him, you think that's probably what's going to happen again. He's going to leave.
Yeah.
And horses that are going to be racing up near the front, I think are going to take the lion's share of the wins today. So, I mean, I could see... what if Dubious Claims decide he wants to leave again, right? The source never used to leave when he raced in Toronto. I don't know if you remember when Paul McDonnell used to drive. He used to come from out of the clouds almost every race. And all of a sudden, he's showing a little bit of speed. So, Dexter Dunn is not afraid to send one or even, float out there for even a quarter or a half before he makes the front. So that could, these kind of races when you see speed on the outside could set up for some horse that just kind of lays 3rd or 4th on the inside and then pounces later. I'm going to try and stay away from horses that can be like 2nd, 3rd, 4th over and try and use horses that just look like they're going to leave and maybe sit a trip. I think that's where you're going to get the prices.
Yeah, and that's what I said earlier. I think the horse that's 2nd over ends up winning the race. It should be a setup race. Kind of hoping for a quick pace and see how fast these things can actually go. Most of these are 49 and change pacers on a pretty fast track. Today, I think 48 and change is pretty doable, and especially after watching Backstreet Lawyer in the first race go 147 and 3 with the last half in 52 and 4. I think this race sets up very well, and we should see a nice competitive race before the stake races start.
What are the odds of the 3 right now? Can you see it?
6-1.
6-1.
That's not high enough for me.
No.
If he floats up to 10 or 12-1, I might go bet him to win, but I think he probably will too.
What do you think of, since you're the Woodbine guy, Southland Kasha in the Oaks?
No, she's been really good. I don't know if she's Oaks material or not. I'm just being honest.
They've sort of hidden her and protected her a little bit, and then they show up in the elimination, and they're 25-1, and they're right there. I mean, that's,
I think she's a good one to use maybe, for 3rd or 4th in the Tri or the Super. I don't think she could win it, but, I mean, upsets do happen.
She could get a trip in the race, though. I mean, especially from the inside.
Yeah, you got to think she's going to be leaving a little bit. I mean, she shows she can do it almost every race, and there's not... there's not a ton of them that look like they want to leave. I mean, the Millie's Possession, maybe the two right next to her, but other than that, she should probably get a decent trip up near the front.
I feel like, though, that Millie's Possession, usually, like, she's not the best leaver necessarily. She just can kind of float and then go, as opposed to get the front. I mean, this horse can leave probably better than she can. I thought that was a pretty overconfident drive, though, last time on her. I mean, he, sort of sat there, wait till they came, and then finally went.
Yeah, I mean, Southwind Casual left in 26-4. She's up by 2 lengths last time.
Right.
So she could probably leave as good as any of them, and you're right. I mean...
Well, we had a question on the feed on the live broadcast. Somebody said, "Oh no, who let that guy in the middle in there?" It was Ace.
the guy. That's the guy that's not driving you home or taking you to Saratoga tomorrow. It's that guy.
Is he here?
He's here. He's off with the Clyde Hurt workshop. I haven't seen him all week.
So
he's having a better week than me, other than the 3 Rolling Stones tickets I got.
How about that? Yeah, how was that?
It was great. It was great. You know what? I saw them 24 years ago in Toronto, and they were just as good now. I think they go into a freezer overnight or something. I mean, to be running around the stage like that at 76, I'm 54. I wouldn't have lasted 5 minutes. Yeah. Apparently, is one of the guys that was sitting in the box there. I don't know his name. Probably a multi-millionaire, but he said that Mick's Heart Doctor said this guy's the best advertisement I could have ever had. Every time he steps out on the stage, it's like they fixed him up like in a month.
Wait, Garnsdale.
Yes, sir.
Most important question.
Yes.
Did you get a signed oxygen mask from Keith Richards?
Wow.
No, I didn't.
I thought Keith was looking worse than Mick whenever you were showing the pictures.
Yeah.
It was like Weekend at Bernie's.
The drummer kind of looks like Weekend at Bernie's. He just kind of sits there. He's 78. Like, what else are you gonna do, man?
These guys need the money. You know what I mean?
It's I don't think he could pull off In the Air tonight if he had decided to sit with Phil Collins for a night.
They're probably. What do you think they made for that show?
I have no idea. At least probably more than $1 million.
I would think
probably more than $1 million. I would think so. But that's a beautiful stadium, man. For football, it must be fantastic. You ever been to a football game?
I've never been to that stadium.
I realize when I sit in other stadiums how bad the Bills dump really is when I go there. It's just terrible.
That's what happens when you lose 4 Super Bowls in a row.
Well, they only really had a shot in one, but
I'm sure that's a different time, different subject.
Yeah, it's an old wound that will never heal unless they win one, and I don't think that's happening.
So,
but
your best bet just won.
Yeah. 1 to 9. I actually thought I might get like around 4 to 5 on that horse or something like that, but
long shot.
Long shot is probably this quality butt in this race.
Okay.
I don't think I have a lot of long
7 to 1.
shots. That's not really a long.
He's 7 to 1. I mean, he's drifting up a little bit, not as much as you would want him to. I don't think,
but
5
to 1 earlier.
Listen, I think if you're betting, like some of these races have 4 or 5 contenders. Like you guys were talking about the race with the 4 fillies. Escapes my mind the name of the race now, but I think in races like that, if you're betting to win, you got to go for the best price because it's going to depend on trip. They're all pretty even. Like this Doherty final, there's 4 or 5 that look like they can win that. Sure, Hypnotic AM looks like the best of them, but even in her elimination, she only won by a nose, right? So I thought Crucial was pretty impressive in her elimination.
Yeah, Rod likes that one. I like the 9 in the race, actually. I think,
you'll get a price there for sure, just because of the post.
Another speed horse. You know what I mean? We're talking about we think the track can play to the front. Last year, same thing. This day, track played to the front most of the day. I mean,
but
Atlanta ended up winning the Hambo too.
But there were a couple upsets.
There were.
I think Atlanta won the Hambo when 6-pack didn't make the final.
Yeah.
To be honest, because I'm saying there's now she's going to get a breather. I think, and it played out for once. How you think it's going to go.
They are post parading though for race number 2. Currently, 8 to 5.
8 to 5 on this 5.
The 5, yeah.
Wow.
Let's roll 8 to 5. We kind of expected him to be the favorite. 8 to 5, I think, is.
I thought you thought Incredible Shark was going to be the favorite.
Well, and on paper he was supposed to be the favorite.
Yeah, and I was saying.
I thought Incredible Shark would end up being the favorite.
Okay.
I was saying too, this horse is probably gonna get bet just because people saw that last race, how big of an improvement he had there. Only assuming this time around on this day, he's gonna be even better than that.
And see, now you're already seeing he drifted up a little bit to 9 to 5, and Incredible Shark down to 7 to 2. So people are putting a little bit of money on these other horses. The one Heavenly Sound 4 to 1, too short. Pass on that.
Yeah, you said he was choosing about 21, right?
In the picker.
Sure. I just want to mention that my analysis on NAHUpicks.com currently batting 1,000.
Oh, you had the 1-9 shot.
I had
That's
the
great.
1-9
Fantastic.
shot.
Yes.
Fantastic. If that's what you get, great. Perfect. We got to take our positives when we can get them.
That's right. I may go 1 for 13, so I'll take that one or two.
Well, especially now, since horse racing Twitter is a fickle beast. You know, like it's.
We got to give a birthday shout out to Darren Gagne.
Oh yeah.
Up at Running Ace. Happy birthday, Darren! I know he's watching right now. But back to race number 2. Pretty even betting board outside of the 3